Hi. So I spoke about a couple of books which were fun reads on parenting. Now I want to talk about a book which is a little serious, which deals with uh, parenting a baby from 0 to 18 months. And I have a book called Babies Build Toddlers. Babies Build Toddlers, a Montessori guide to parenting the first 18 months, by Mariana Bissonette. I hope I'm taking her name right. Mariana Bissonette. She's the author. And there are around 4 to 5 key concepts in this book, um, which I think are important. The book is simple with lot of illustrations. It only deals with parenting a baby from 0 to 18 months. And I'm sure if you go to any library or a bookstore or order a book online, you'll find plenty of books on parenting, that wherein they range from a point wherein the books are literally like encyclopedias. There is a lot of study material where they they talk about everything on everything. Then you have books which are focused on some niche or some particular parenting styles, habits, months, levels of kids, etc. Then there are books which are like the beginner's guide, and then there are books which will answer all your questions. So there are different kinds of books. This particular book, I liked it because it spoke about 4 to 5 key concepts which were pretty new, and I would like to share them with you over here. The first thing that I read in this book was about the whole concept of babies build toddlers, wherein they are trying to say, the author and her co-author, they are trying to say that whatever habits that you develop, the environment that you give to your baby in the first few months, they end up kind of building on top of that. And the toddler that you see one day is not someone who's just become a toddler out of nowhere. He or she kind of develops on top of all the things that he or she has learned from day one. So babies build toddlers. While the first few months are very overwhelming for all the parents, if but they're definitely rewarding, because all the effort that you take during these few critical months, almost 6, 7, 8 months, they're going to help you build a toddler who is independent, who is learning quickly, who is able to teach themselves to become independent, etc. So the concept of babies build toddlers. The second thing that they've spoken about here uh, is that they've tried to break down the timeline of 0 to 18 months into 3 phases: 0 to 6, 6 to 9, 6 to 12, and 12 to 18. They say the 0 to 6 as where the adult meets child's needs. So adult is doing everything for the kids, the child, the baby. The 6 to 12 months wherein the adult and child meets child needs. So both you and your baby are together trying to help the baby to do things. And then the 12 to 18 months wherein the child meets the child needs, when the child learns to teach themselves to do things. And I think this is such a beautiful way of just telling the parents how these 3 phases would look like. And this kind of immediately shifts your focus on how these 18 months are going to play. So it's an interesting take. And by around 12 to 18 months, how the kids need to get into a phase wherein they need to become independent, and they've kind of obviously elaborated on that part. The third thing that I found interesting in the book was, after every chapter, they're talking about eating habits, sleeping habits, waking up, feeding, wearing clothes, potty training, etc. Almost all the milestones. At the end of every chapter, they kind of give you a quadrant, which is like the Gartner's quadrant, and it has 4 parts to it. What you should do, what you should not do, you should prepare for, and what you should avoid. And it's just a nice way of quickly understanding each of those milestones in details. So that's another thing that I found very nice. Then they talk about the Montessori method, and we'll kind of read that part over here. And one interesting concept that they've discussed in the book is something called as a sensitive period. And they're talking about how kids kind of get disturbed at a certain, after some 12 plus months, wherein they don't find things on place where they were supposed to be, and how order is important for them, how routine is important for them, and they are kind of building on top of that, and the whole concept of sensitive period. So I'm going to go and kind of read some of the pages that I've bookmarked, which kind of talks about these 5 key concepts. So first things first, the Montessori method, right on the page, first page, they're kind of explaining what a Montessori method is. So Montessori is a developmental approach to education as an aid to life. The guiding principles center on understanding the child's development, preparing ourselves and our child's spaces to best support that development, and then observing the child in front of us to see that development unfold. So the Montessori method. My next bookmark comes at the page wherein they are trying to kind of summarize the entire book for you. Okay, and they are saying how, according to them, and that's how I think they've also designed the table of contents. They have said the first baby phase is like the plant, the toddler that babies build. The roots are all the developments that are happening in the child. The conditions are the environment. The gardener is the parent, and the full chart. This is the table of contents, but I just like the way they've put it. Going back to their description of experiences. This is very beautiful. I like the way they have just explained this concept. They say that the brain develops like the roadways of a city. The most traveled roads get the most attention, paving, clear signage, etc. And therefore, the most popular to use because they are the most efficient. The brain's neural network works similarly. The more the child experiences something, the stronger and more efficient the roadway becomes. The brain then uses the most efficient pathways to function, so it is essential to have a strong network to build a well-functioning brain. Then the concept of sensitive period, they said if the all-absorbent mind isn't focused on anything in particular, it can be hard to acquire the specific skills we need to be successful adults. Sensitive periods or critical periods act like a spotlight to create that focus. For example, we absorb all the sound around us, but because we focus our attention to the human voice, we learn to talk. So this is their concept of a sensitive period. They've kind of also explained the sensitive period, how they're examined and stuff like that. Then you have this thing that I was referring to, the Gartner kind of quadrant that they do at the end of every chapter. They say things that you should prepare for while you are in that stage. The things under inspire, the things to avoid, and the things to support. So for example, under eating, so invite the kid to the table, orient them towards their tools, have a routine if to their meal times. They've put it under support. Things that you should prepare for: prepare the table, prepare a community to eat with, get child-sized tools for them. The preparation that you should do. Inspire. In the first 0 to 6 months, you should just draw their attention towards food. 6 to 12 months, you should start talking about food, talk to them while they're having food. Participation between 12 to 18 months, where they actually start eating. So inspire. And avoid trays, avoid non-functional tools, avoid lack of modeling or opportunity. They in fact even said that high chairs are not a great option. That is also one of their takes on high chair related to evening. You should read about that. It's quite a non-conventional take, but they have a say on that. Then over here, I liked what they said over here, so I'm going to read it out to you. The child is not an inert being who owes everything he can do to us, as if he were an empty vessel that we have to fill. No, it is a child who makes the man, and no man exists who was not made by the child he was once. Towards the end, and if you don't want to read the whole book, but like I said, they have kind of categorized the three phases into adult meets child needs, child meets child needs, and adult and child meets child needs. There is a beautiful illustration about it towards the end, and they talk about all of these three phases. And towards the end, they have dedicated a page to all of their illustrators, and they've kind of written about who these illustrators are and where do they come from and how did they kind of do these illustrations. And there are plenty of ladies who have put in their time and effort in doing the illustrations, so there is a page dedicated to that as well. Anyways, a nice read, Babies Build Toddlers. If you come across this book, you can definitely flip through the pages, give it a read. There are these 4 to 5 concepts that they have explained, which are different and give you a good peek into the first 18 months and how they're critical. So it is the Montessori way of doing things. So a Montessori guide. So Babies Build Toddlers for you. I'm Mariana Bissonette. Thank you.